The AAC is basically the stepping stone to the Power 5 conference for a bunch of different schools. We've had Cincinnati was a former member of the AAC. SMU was a former member. UCF was a former member. Basically, it's the place that you want to go before you want to go somewhere really good. That being said, the AAC is basically a conference of just a bunch of different schools west of Texas. I think there's some in Oklahoma as well, but basically just west of Texas. There's a bunch of different schools that join together to play football and basketball. So the AAC is an interesting conference. The only time that the average viewer is probably going to get a view of the AAC is week 13 is the Army-Navy game. And a little fun fact about me, I almost joined the Navy after graduating high school. I was probably about this close, probably about a coin flip away. If I didn't get accepted into the college that I wanted to go to, I was going to go into the Navy. So go Navy, beat Army, and let's get into these rankings. All right, thank you for that very mid-introduction. Like I said, we're going over the AAC, that's the American Athletic Conference, the stepping stone to Power 5. First and foremost, we have it's not called University of Army. I think it's like the West Point Academy or something like that, but we know it as Army. We've got Blackjack here from Army. Blackjack is a very historic mascot. It's got I think it's supposed to be a donkey. I'm going to go with S tier for right now, just because I feel like it deserves a lot of respect. It's a historic mascot. And it's a donkey. There's a lot of different horse mascots, and I feel like they kind of get lumped into, equine mascots in general, which I would have to say equine mascots in general are like probably B tier. I'm not super high on like horse-related mascots, but just because of the history and the design of it. Plus, he looks kind of fuzzy too, and he's a donkey. I feel like that in itself is kind of interesting. Plus, he means a lot to the people at West Point. So I'm going to give Blackjack as our first ranking here. We're going to start off strong with an S tier. We're going to go Blackjack from Army at S tier. Next up, we have Norm from the University of Charlotte. Norm is I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be like a miner, like not like a child, but like, somebody one who mines. I'm going to say Norm, I'm going to put him at a C tier right now. I feel like he's kind of like just generic looking. I don't feel like he has a whole lot of prowess to himself as a mascot. I don't think you don't look at him and he's not instantaneously recognizable. I feel like he's just kind of, nondescript, a little bit bland, and like his character development from just looking at him, he doesn't really, I wouldn't say he entirely looks like a miner. So I'm going to have him down at a C tier. C for Charlotte. We're going to have Norm from the Charlotte University of Charlotte, down at the C tier. We've got Norm. Next up from East Carolina, we've got Captain Petey. Captain Petey is a pirate, and just from looking at him from his exterior standpoint, I gotta say, I think Petey's got to be up towards an A tier. He definitely feels like a cartoon pirate. He feels like he's something that you could see at like Disneyland or something. Feels like he's like Captain Hook. He's associated with Peter Pan and that sort of stuff. I like the purple and the gold. I feel like those are always two really good, positive, contrasting colors. And I feel like from a design standpoint, he's pretty cool. He's got the big earrings, he's got the sword or whatever. So I'm gonna have Petey from East Carolina all the way up at A tier, giving us a good formula of what our mascots are going to look like here in the American Athletic Conference. All right, next up we've got from Florida Atlantic University, we've got, his name is Owlsley, something like that. Owlsley, I'm pretty sure. Owlsley here, I'm going to have to put him up at, knee-jerk reaction, I'm going to put him up at the B tier. I don't think he's better than Norm. You can identify what he is and like what he's like what kind of animal and what sort of thing he is from just like, from across a stadium, let's say. I'm going to say he's going to be a B tier for right now, just because he's an owl. He's kind of got a distinct look to him. He's unique. There is another owl in this conference that we are going to rank later. But I feel like Owlsley looks like an owl. You know, he's approachable. He's kind of interesting looking, and he's not like he's not scary looking. I wouldn't really call him like a good looking mascot. He kind of reminds me a little bit of the Buckeye from Ohio State, but I'm gonna have him at B tier right now, just to kind of round out what we've gone. But I might drop him down to C tier depending on the other animals we see here. So we're going to go B tier for Owlsley from Florida Atlantic University. Next on our list here, we've got Pouncer from University of Memphis. I feel like Pounce, he kind of looks like Tony the Tiger a little bit. I'm going to put him up at the top of B tier just because, you know, he's a unique looking mascot. You're going to see what he looks like, and you get the gist of him from, you know, 100 feet away. But he doesn't really look that unique. You know, he looks like I've said this before, he looks like you could see him at any community college, at any high school, at any, you know, at any level, and you might associate him with 100 different teams. So I'm going to have him at B tier. He's a little bit, I'm going to have to say B for bland. He's a little bit bland in this situation. He's better than he's better than Norm, but I wouldn't say he's not better than PD from East Carolina. So I'm going to say he's at the top of the B tier just because he's a little bit more friendly looking than the owl. He's a little less scary looking. Like, the owl's not scary, but, like, I don't know. I'm like, the face of the owl looks a little bit weird compared to a tiger. Plus, you know, it's a tiger, and I feel like it's a lot more friendly for kids to see and that sort of stuff. So I'm going to stick with my gut decision here. I'm going to have Pouncer here at the top of B tier. Next up on our list here, we've got Scrappy from University of North Texas. Scrappy is an eagle, and I feel like Scrappy's going to have to go at the top of the C tier here. Like I said before, you know, I feel like if I say that, I have to bring him up to the bottom of the B tier. You know what he is. You know what he stands for. I do like the color combination with the dark green and everything. I don't really know the history of the owl. You know, I'm actually going to put him above Owlsley here. I feel like if we're going to compare the two birds, I think University of North Texas takes the edge here just because of the friendliness of the eagle, and like the face just doesn't look like uncanny for some reason. I don't love the design of the owl from Florida. Is Florida Atlantic? Yeah, Florida Atlantic. I think I'm going to have to give the edge to North Texas. I'm not going to put him above Pounce. I feel like, you know, I'm going to move Pouncer here up to the bottom of A tier. I feel like the University of Memphis is pretty iconic with its, you know, tiger imagery here. I'm going to have it up at the bottom of A tier, but I might drop it back down to B tier later. I'm going to have B for birds here, and if I'm just going to rank the birds, I'm definitely going to have to say that the eagle here outpaces the owl. So we're going to have the Scrappy Owl, or the Scrappy Eagle, rather, from North Texas is going to be the top of our B tier. Next up, we have Sammy the Owl from Rice. Why do we have so many owls in the American Athletic Conference? We have multiple owls, which is weird. You know, it's like that Perry the Platypus thing. Like, if I had a nickel for every time that there'd be an owl in the American Athletic Conference, I'd have 3 nickels, which isn't that many, but which is weird. It's more than one. So we're gonna go with Sammy the Owl from Rice. I'm gonna put Sammy the Owl. I'm gonna dedicate the B. I'm actually gonna change this to bird. We're gonna just rank the birds individually here. We're gonna go all birds here, and if I'm gonna have to rank them, I feel like Owlsley looks more like an owl than Sammy does here. I don't know if they're supposed to look like owls or whatnot, but I feel like I'm gonna give him the edge just from like the correct look. I feel like we're gonna see another owl later, and he's definitely gonna be above that owl. But I'm gonna have Sammy the Owl in our bird tier. He's gonna be the bottom of our bird tier as of right now. We're gonna skip over the lineup that we've got down here. We're going to go all the way to the end, which gives us Hooter from the University of Temple, or Temple University. I don't know which one it is, but we've got Hooter here. I'm going to put Hooter at the very end just because, like, that face is like, it's a pretty aggressive face. I don't feel like if I was a kid, I'd want to take a picture with that. I do like that there is a live mascot portion of this. I'm always a sucker for a live mascot. I've said that once. I say that again, and I'll say that 1,000 times. I am a sucker for a live mascot as long as, like I said before, as long as it is endemic to the area. You know, I feel like Temple is in like the Philadelphia area. You can 100% find owls in that area, so I have no problem with that. We are going to say Hooter here from Temple is going to go at the bottom of our birds tier list. I did want to give him a bump because there is, at least in this picture, I don't know if there's officially a live mascot portion from Temple, but I feel like the owl from Rice here, Sammy, is going to have to go just above Hooter from the Temple University of Temple, whatever it is. So right now at the bottom of our birds list, we're going to have to go with Hooter from Temple. Now, if you thought that was the end of our birds, you would not even be close. We have 2 more birds to rank, which is just bizarre for one conference. But anyway, we're going to give Riptide here our first place in the birds tier list. From my understanding, Tulane University is somewhere near, where is it? New Orleans. It's in Louisiana for sure. I'm pretty sure it's in New Orleans. New Orleans has the Pelicans for their professional basketball team. I feel like that is the correct bird for the area. I feel like it is the most unique bird out of all these. It's not an owl for some reason. There's a bunch of them, and it's not an eagle as well. So I would say that it's going to be at the front of our tier list. I feel like if we're going to have to give like a half point to the eagle in the American Athletic Conference, obviously, I mean, it's the American Athletic Conference, and we've got the official bird of the United States, the eagle. So we're going to have him at second. But the uniqueness and the cultural appropriateness of a what is it called, a pelican in New Orleans and Louisiana. So we're gonna have the bird, the pelican from Tulane. His name is Riptide. He's going to be at the top of our birds tier list right here. Now we're going to skip over these guys. We're going to go to our last bird from the University of Texas at San Antonio, the Roadrunners. We have Rowdy, the Roadrunner. I'm going to give Rowdy, this is going to be a hotly debated subject in my brain at least, the debate between either the Eagle, which I said gets a half point for being American, or a Roadrunner. I'm actually going to put the Roadrunner ahead just because of the uniqueness of the Roadrunner mascot itself. Like I said before, there are tons of different eagles that we see throughout all of college football, through all of sports in general. There are a bunch of different eagle mascots that I can think of. How many Roadrunners can you think of? There's the Roadrunner here, which I don't even know. I would guess that maybe 80% of the population didn't know that University of Texas at San Antonio were the Roadrunners. This is the Roadrunner, and the other Roadrunner that you think of is the one from the cartoons. So I would have to say that this one definitely gets the second spot just from its unique nature, and Roadrunners are definitely endemic to the desert, the desert area. I've seen Roadrunners in the deserts around my house before. I would assume that you can find them in San Antonio as well. So I feel like that is another plus for the mascot rankings here. So I'm going to have the Roadrunner Rowdy in our second spot of our birds tier list. Remember, we're not doing B tier, we're doing the bird tier. And Rowdy is our last bird. He's not our last thing with wings, but he is our last bird, even though I don't think Roadrunners fly. I'm pretty sure that's their whole deal, is that they don't fly. But anyway, Rowdy is going to be our second highest ranked bird in our bird tier list here. Next up, from the University of South Florida, we have Rocky the Bull. I feel like Rocky, from his design, is going to have to go all the way up at the S tier. I don't think he's got the history that Blackjack has from West Point here. But from a design standpoint, he's pretty unique. Whenever I look at him, I always think he looks like The Rock, like the WWE wrestler The Rock. I feel like he looks exactly like him. I'm going to have to put him up at the S tier just because he's such a unique design. I like his color choices. He looks like he's an actual bull. I don't think you would actually find bulls in South Florida. I don't know. I haven't spent too much time there, but I do enjoy the mascot. His design is pretty unique, and it's definitely more recognizable than the pirate and the tiger here from Memphis. So I'm going to have him up at the S tier. Next up is from the University of Alabama at Birmingham. We've got Blaze. Blaze is a dragon. Like I said before, we're going from just design standpoint and the ability to take a picture with it as a kid. And the Blaze from UAB here is definitely going right to the top. If I was a kid, I'm actually going to put him, if I'm a kid, I'm going to want to get a picture with the dragon way before I'm going to want to get a picture with a bull. So I'm going to have Blaze up here at the second spot. I feel like he might take a hit. I'm actually going to drop down Blaze here down to the top of the A tier just because he doesn't have some of the history. I know that you're not really going to associate Rocky here with, a lot of success and a lot of prominence in college sports, but there was a time at one point in which the football world did run through University of South Florida. I believe it was in that 2007 season again. That crazy season. Plus, I'm pretty sure, I think they took Alabama to the ropes a couple years ago, and I think they had a 10-win season, something like that. So I'm gonna keep up just from the design. I feel like the design of Blaze the dragon here is just a little bit lazy. It doesn't feel like it's fully fleshed out. But Rocky here, I feel like he's got his identity, he's got everything solidified, and he's moving on to the S tier. Well, Blaze, he's got a little bit of refining to do. I feel like he's not as not as interesting and not as perfect as Rocky is here at the top of the S tier. So we're going to have Blaze from University of Alabama, Birmingham at the top of our A tier, the top of the A tier. Next up from Tulsa, we have Captain Kane. Tulsa is in the state of Oklahoma, and I'm going to have Captain Kane down at the C tier. I don't understand the idea of, like, first off, their name is like the Golden Hurricanes or something. I don't understand what a Golden Hurricane is. And if you're going to live in that area, isn't a hurricane something that you fear? Not something that, like, you want to empower, but something that you fear? I don't get the mascot design. He's unique in his design, and I cannot think of another, like, tornado or hurricane or even, like, a force of weather that is, like, outside of, like, maybe a high school, like one high school that I can think of. Other than that, I feel like the Golden Hurricane here is the only, like, live weather mascot I can think of. So I'm gonna have to put him down below. That's probably the only thing keeping him out of the D category here is just his uniqueness. Maybe I'll drop Norm down to the D tier here, just because of his generic design and, like, his lack of any, like, real appreciable qualities or whatnot. I feel like that separates the Captain Kane here from Norm is just a little bit of, like, uniqueness in his design. I just don't get it. I don't get the design. I don't get anything about it. If you're a fan of this team, if you're a fan of Tulsa, let me know. Like, what's the history? What's the lore of this guy? I mean, comment down below if you think that he deserves to be higher just based on the uniqueness alone. I feel like I gave some uniqueness points to Rocky, and I definitely give him to Blaze, but I just don't see that uniqueness in the Golden Hurricane here, Captain Kane from Tulsa. So I'm going to keep him down at the C tier. Last but not least, from Navy, we've got Bill, the Billy Goat. I feel like the Navy Goat has to go all the way up at the top. I feel like he's definitely an S tier. He is paired with a live mascot, which I said is always a positive. I think that Blackjack does have a live mascot, but they don't bring him out very often. But, I'm actually going to drop down. Rocky here from South Florida. I'm going to have these two at their own, just because they're not associated with the football conference all the time, or they're not associated with the American Conference all the time. But in regards to football, Army and Navy definitely stand head and shoulders above the rest of them in their iconic designs. I'm going to have Billy Goat go first, just because, I'm a little bit subjective in my choice towards Navy, because, I wanted to be a Navy guy. I'm going to have Navy above Army, but they're both going to be at the S tier just because they're iconic. I think their mascots have been going for like 150 years because they're both, really old, really old institutions, probably some of the first institutions in the United States. So I'm going to have Bill and the Billy Goat go first. I'm going to have Blackjack in second, and rounding out our S tier. In the A tier, we've got Rocky from South Florida. We've got Blaze from UAB. we've got PD from East Carolina, and rounding out the A tier, we've got Pouncer from Memphis. In our surprisingly large B tier, the bird tier, we've got Riptide from Tulane, we've got Rowdy from UTSA, we've got Scrappy from North Texas, we've got Owlsley from FAU, we've got Sammy from Rice, and we've got Hooter from Temple. Our lone C tier here is Captain Kane from Tulsa. And rounding out our D tier here, our bottom of the barrel is Norm from Charlotte. I hope you guys liked my rankings here. I feel like they're not too controversial. I feel like, they're kind of unique. I feel like I was surprised by the number of birds. I didn't think that there were going to be that many birds here. I don't know why the American is associated with the birds so much, but, that's cool, I guess. I mean, we got to rank some birds, and I feel like they have, a couple pretty interesting birds in Riptide and Rowdy here. And then they have a surprisingly large amount of owls, which is very weird. I don't understand that at all. But let me know in the comments down below what you think of my rankings. I don't know what conference I'm going to do next. The AAC here is our first foray into a group of 5 team. I'm thinking let's go with the Mountain West next. We're going to do the Mountain West next of our rankings of a group of 5 teams. I feel like the Mountain West is pretty iconic in its history. There's a lot of good teams and a lot of good programs that are in the Mountain West and that have been associated with the Mountain West. So our next conference we're going to do is the Mountain West. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you got notifications turned on for that one. I think we're going to go Mountain West next, and then maybe the MAC after that. The MAC is one of my personal favorite conferences. I feel like if you watch MAC football, you are a true fan of football, a true fan of college football. And like I said, so like this video, subscribe so you can be ready for the next one, and comment down below which bird do you think is best, which bird do you think parties the hardest. I'm gonna have to say that I think Rowdy from UTSA here is the rowdiest and the biggest party bird of all the birds. But let me know down below what you think, and we'll talk later. Thanks for watching. Bye.